Welcome back to the Board Business Channel. We're looking at a company today you probably haven't heard of, but one that's powering like almost every single gadget in your life.
Yeah.
ASE Holdings.
It's true. They're kind of the unsung heroes of the tech world.
You know what I thought when I first heard that name?
What?
I thought it was like a luxury, like handbag company or something.
Really?
Yeah, just based on the name.
Yeah.
But it turns out that they're actually way cooler than a fancy purse.
They are way cooler.
Yeah.
They're a major player in the semiconductor industry,
Okay.
specializing in something called semiconductor packaging and testing.
What is that?
So essentially, they take those powerful but tiny microchips
Right.
that companies like PSMC make and turn them into something usable.
Okay, so it's like TSMC makes the raw diamond, and then ASE is like the expert jeweler
Yes.
that cuts it and polishes it and sets it into
I like that analogy.
something beautiful.
Yeah.
In this case, our phones or computers or cars.
Exactly. They're the ones making sure that those chips can actually function in the real world.
So they do more than just like slap them in a cardboard box and send them on their way.
Oh, definitely not.
Oh.
This is incredibly precise and complex work.
Yeah.
Microscopic connections, advanced materials.
Sounds complicated.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
So they're dealing with these teeny tiny chips, but their impact is huge.
Oh, absolutely. ASE is the world's largest provider of semiconductor packaging and testing services.
Really?
Yeah, they have facilities all over Asia, Europe, and North America.
Wow.
They're a true global powerhouse.
Okay, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
But how did they get so big? Did they like win some kind of semiconductor lottery or something?
More like they've been playing a really smart strategic game for decades.
Okay.
They were founded in 1984 in Taiwan, and they've been steadily growing and evolving ever since.
Huh.
A lot of their growth comes from making some really savvy acquisitions.
Coagwasi, so like instead of building everything from scratch, they went out and snapped up companies that already had the expertise and the technology that they needed.
Exactly. One recent example is their acquisition of 2 factories from Infineon, a major German semiconductor company.
Infineon, wait a minute, aren't they big in the automotive chip space?
Yeah.
And speaking of cars, my new ride practically drives itself with all the computer chips in it.
You're catching on.
Okay.
And that's exactly why this acquisition is so significant.
Okay.
It gives ASE a much stronger foothold in the automotive and industrial chip markets, which are only going to grow as cars get even smarter and factories become more automated.
So they're not just keeping up with technology, they're anticipating where it's going next.
Definitely a smart move. They're positioning themselves to be a vital part of the future of tech.
Okay, speaking of the future, how are they doing on the whole being a responsible global citizen front? I seem to recall something about a not-so-great environmental situation a while back.
You're probably thinking about the wastewater incident they had back in 2013 at one of their Taiwan facilities.
Right.
It's true, they had a discharge that didn't meet environmental standards.
Yeah, and dumping stuff in the river is generally frowned upon.
Right.
Especially when you're a high-tech company trying to make the world a better place with your fancy chips.
Absolutely. And they took full responsibility for the incident.
Good.
They temporarily shut down part of the facility, paid fines, and most importantly, took concrete steps to improve their environmental practices.
Okay, good. Because I was about to start a petition to make all their devices run on solar power and unicorn tears.
I think they're sticking to more conventional energy sources for now.
Right.
But in all seriousness, they really did step up their sustainability game.
Good.
They invested in better wastewater treatment systems, implemented stricter controls, and have become much more transparent about their environmental impact.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. It's like they made a mistake, owned up to it, and then actually did something to make things right.
Right, which unfortunately doesn't always happen, but they seem to have learned from it and are committed to doing better.
Now, that's what I call a real upgrade. But speaking of upgrades, didn't they also go through a massive merger a few years back?
You're thinking of their merger with Siliconware Precision Industries, or SPL,
Wow.
and yes, it was a gigantic deal.
Gigantic, like Godzilla versus King Kong, gigantic.
Yeah, maybe not that dramatic,
Okay.
but it was a major shakeup in the industry. They actually formed a holding company when they merged.
Wait, a holding company. So it's like they're both rivals and roommates now.
It's a unique situation for sure.
So do they get tired of seeing each other at the breakfast table every morning?
They still have separate brands management teams and even compete for the same customers.
Wow.
But the holding company structure lets them potentially cooperate on things like research and development or negotiating better deals with suppliers.
So they're like those celebrity couples who have separate houses,
Right.
but still show up to award shows together?
Something like that.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get this. But this whole holding company thing, we need to unpack this a little more.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like there's a lot of potential for drama, conflict, maybe even a little bit of sabotage.
Ooh, sabotage. You're making it sound like a reality TV show now.
Maybe we should pitch that.
Let's stick to semiconductors for now.
Okay.
But you're right, there are definitely some interesting dynamics at play here. We'll dive into all the juicy details.
Okay. As we were saying, they're both under the same holding company umbrella,
Right.
but they still operate as separate entities.
It's kind of like having siblings.
Right.
You know, you might fight over the remote
Yeah.
and steal each other's clothes sometimes.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're family.
So they fight for customers, but then they huddle up and share secrets about how to make better chips.
Exactly. They might be rivals in some areas,
Okay.
but there are plenty of opportunities to collaborate and leverage their combined strengths. Imagine the potential cost savings alone.
So they might team up to buy materials in bulk
Exactly.
and get a better deal.
Right.
Or maybe they share research and development costs
Right.
to create like the next generation of super chips.
That's the idea.
Okay.
This co-opetition strategy, as it's sometimes called,
Co-opetition.
can be incredibly powerful if done right.
But what's the catch?
Well, it requires a delicate balance.
Okay.
Too much cooperation.
Uh-huh.
And you risk stifling innovation and becoming complacent.
Right.
Too much competition. And you miss out on the benefits of working together.
Right. So they have to kind of walk a tightrope
They do.
to make this work.
It's a tricky situation.
Why not just keep things simple?
Because the semiconductor industry is incredibly complex.
Okay.
And it's only getting more so.
Right.
We're talking about chips that are smaller and more powerful than ever before,
Yeah.
being used in everything from smartphones and cars to practically everything.
And with the whole Internet of Things thing, where even my toaster is connected to the internet these days.
Right.
The demand for these chips is just going to explode.
Absolutely. And that's where ASE's massive global footprint comes into play.
Okay.
They have factories all over the world
Right.
ready to meet that demand.
Speaking of factories, what about those Infineon factories they bought? What's the big deal with those?
Ah, yes, those factories. That acquisition was a major strategic move for a few reasons.
Okay.
First, as we mentioned, it boosts their presence in the automotive and industrial chip markets,
Right.
which are experiencing crazy growth right now.
Mm-hmm.
Second, those factories are located in the Philippines and Korea,
Okay.
further expanding ASE's global reach.
So they're like the semiconductor octopus of the world with tentacles everywhere.
That's one way to put it.
All right.
But seriously, having a diversified global presence is crucial in this industry.
Okay.
It helps mitigate risks like supply chain disruptions,
Mm-hmm.
political instability, or even natural disasters.
So it's all about risk management.
To a certain extent, yes.
Okay. But back to the chips themselves.
Sure.
What are they actually doing with all these factories?
They're definitely not standing still.
Oh, yeah.
They're investing heavily in advanced packaging technologies,
Like what?
like 2.5D and 3D packaging.
Hold on. 2.5D, 3D. Are we talking about chips or a geometry lesson here?
A little bit of both. Essentially, these techniques allow them to pack even more power and functionality into a single chip.
Okay.
Imagine stacking multiple chips on top of each other, like a high-tech layer cake.
The chip layer cake.
Yeah.
I'm suddenly very hungry. But seriously, why go to all that trouble?
Because these advanced chips are what's driving the future of tech.
Okay.
They're the brains behind artificial intelligence, self-driving cars, virtual reality,
Wow.
all the cool stuff that's just starting to become mainstream.
So ASE is playing a vital role in shaping the technological landscape. And we don't even realize it. It's like they're the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain,
You could say that.
making all the magic happen.
They're definitely a company to watch.
Big picture time. What blows your mind about ASE's story?
Honestly, it's their ability to adapt and thrive in a constantly evolving industry. They've navigated challenges, embraced new technologies, and made some bold moves like that merger with SPIL and the acquisition of those Infineon factories.
I gotta say, that holding company thing is still messing with my brain a little.
Yeah.
It's like they're playing 3D chess while everyone else is stuck on checkers.
It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy for sure.
Yeah.
It'll be fascinating to see how it all plays out, but they've definitely got the brains and the brawn to make it work.
Okay, so they're huge, they're innovative, they're even trying to save the planet with their sustainability efforts.
My brain is officially full.
Oh, okay.
It's like I just downloaded the entire encyclopedia of semiconductors.
Glad we could provide the upgrade.
Me too. And hey, maybe next time we can do a deep dive into holding companies. I have a feeling there are some seriously juicy stories lurking behind those corporate veils.
Ooh, I like where your head's at. Now that would be a fascinating episode.
All right, folks, that's a wrap for today. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Board Business Channel. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.